Hello and a very warm welcome to Rajya Sabha Television with me, Frank Pereira. 2016 will very likely be the hottest year on record and a new high for the third year in a row according to the United Nations. It means 16 out of the 17 hottest years on record will have been this century. The scorching temperatures around the world and the extreme weather they drive mean the impacts of climate change on people are coming sooner and with more ferocity than expected. The World Met Organization report published last month at the Global Climate Summit in Morocco found the global temperature in 2016 is running 1.2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. This is perilously close to the 1.5 centigrade target included as an aim of the Paris Climate Agreement last December. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze climate change and pollution over the last 1 year. Joining me on the program today are Anil Madhav Dave, Environment Minister; Ajay Shankar, former Special Secretary in the Ministry of Power; Palash Mukherjee, Researcher, Air Pollution, CSE; and Chetan Chauhan, Deputy National Affairs Editor, Hindustan Times. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on the program today. Mr. Minister, I'd like to start with you and ask you, of course, several efforts have been made over the years, and even 2016, we saw President Barack Obama, spearhead this challenge of trying to contain environmental pollution. But somehow the kind of results we've seen are not up to the mark.
देखिए, क्लाइमेट चेंज के ऊपर सेमिनार करना, चर्चाएं करना, बहुत अच्छे शब्दों का प्रयोग करना, ये एक अलग बात है। और क्लाइमेट चेंज को लेकर के काम करना, ये दूसरी बात है। मेरा अनुभव ये कहता है कि विश्व के रंगमंच पर बोलने वाले, कहने वाले, लिखने वाले जिन शब्दों का प्रयोग करते हैं उसको वो प्रैक्टिस नहीं करते। नॉन प्रैक्टिसिंग एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट है। और गांधी कहते थे कि नॉन प्रैक्टिस फ्रीडम फाइटर नहीं चाहिए। आपको चरखा काटना पड़ेगा, आपको स्वच्छता को लेकर के अपना आंगन खुद साफ करना पड़ेगा। दक्षिण अफ्रीका में आपका आश्रम का शौचालय साफ करने के लिए बाहर से कोई व्यक्ति नहीं आएगा। कस्तूरबा ने मना किया तो उन्होंने कहा पोरबंदर चली जाओ, अगर यहाँ रहना है तो साफ करना पड़ेगा। आज हमारी समस्या नॉन प्रैक्टिसिंग लोगों के महत्वपूर्ण पदों पे बैठ जाने की है। जैसे ही ये प्रैक्टिसिंग एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट हो जाएंगे वैसे ही सारी समस्याओं के निदान होने लग जाएंगे
जी।
वरना क्लाइमेट चेंज, मिटिगेशन, एडाप्टेशन, फाइनेंस, टेक्नोलॉजी, ऐसे बहुत सारे शब्द हैं और उस पर घंटों बात हो सकती है। लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि अब धीरे धीरे शायद विश्व भारत की ओर इस दृष्टि से देखने लगा है कि क्लाइमेट चेंज का उत्तर अगर कहीं है तो शायद भारत के पास है।
जी, and India spearheaded the agreement signing as well earlier this year. Mr. Shankar, do you agree with that? The fact remains that, everyone's just talking about it at conferences, at meetings, but no one's really putting what they discuss or the outcome to real effect or to real use.
I would say that 2016 has been significant, that India has been bolder and more ambitious than was expected. As the year ends, there is great cause of worry because we have a new president coming in the United States, and one is not sure whether he and his team would have the commitment necessary for addressing the global challenge of climate change in terms of the Paris Accord. The Paris Accord itself in the targets is not what is required to successfully address the challenge of climate change, but it's a great beginning. But if the largest emitter in the world and the most industrialized and affluent country begins to retract from its commitments, then it is not a good sign for mankind. So the big worry that I have is what will the new administration in the United States do? Because what the US does sets a great example for many countries in the world.
Is that a worrisome trend, Chetan, about Donald Trump, the kind of statements that he has made? But of late, he said that he's willing to rethink the Paris Accord and maybe abide by it.
But if you see his actions, the three guys, top guys in the sector of energy, environment, and even Secretary of State who are spearheading the climate negotiations are known climate deniers. So if you see his team, it is full of climate deniers. So I don't think that in the coming days we'll see a Donald Trump going back on his statements during the campaign. There is more focus on fossil fuels, oil industry in US, and there is some sort of a skepticism within US also whether their clean energy projects will get that sort of funding which they got during Obama's regime. The Obama's clean energy initiatives are also in the doldrums, and once they are in the doldrums, it will have an impact all over the world, because other countries will also say that if the US, the biggest emitter, the highest polluter, is not doing it, why should we do? So I think it will have a reckoning impact all over the world. And the big thing we have to watch is next negotiation round of negotiations, which happens in February, March. What is the stand of the United States? Then the new climate team of US would be there in the negotiations, and how they change track. I think everybody is looking out for the change in US stand in the climate negotiations. I think the withdrawing from the Paris Agreement will not happen very soon, but they will try to negotiate in a different way, a way different from which Obama regime did for years, and it will have an impact on the Paris climate deal, the future negotiations, because by 2018, as everybody knows, the most of the processes under the Paris Climate Accord has to be finalized. Now we have to see whether this the 2008 deadline will be met or not, and what will happen to the different processes which have to be finalized, and what will be the role of the US. Will it continue with a positive role, or now it will be a negative role, as it appears from Mr. Trump's statement. If you see, he met Al Gore last week, and when Al Gore came out, he was not very enthusiastic. If you know Al Gore, anything on climate change, he would be talking a lot. He didn't say even a word. He said it was a good meeting, nothing else. So it shows that in US there will be a dramatic change in the climate policy in coming days, and that is a fearsome factor for environmentalists for climate change. But climate change negotiations and this thing is not about environment. I think I should make it clear. It's more about business. Europe and US has been pushing for climate change negotiations, for climate change deal, primarily because 80 to 90% of patents of clean energy projects is with these two countries, and they think in the next 20 to 30 years the next big business deal or thing will come from the clean energy projects. That's why they're pushing it, and we have to take it in a stride.
But the question remains, how financially viable are these clean energy projects?
They are high cost projects for countries like India. These are not feasible until the financial assistance is provided. They are subsidized by the Western countries to make it affordable for India. For example, many years ago, carbon capture was promoted as the big thing for thermal power projects. It failed because of the high cost, and none of the Western countries were willing to subsidize it, provide financial incentives for the poor or the developing countries to adopt these technologies, and did not take off. Similar thing can happen with many other technologies also, if they are not willing to provide the funding which they have committed. For example, US $100 billion by 2020. I don't see forthcoming, because so far only 13 billion has come. At least 50 should have come by now. But if the commitment of financial commitment, technology transfer is not there, I don't think that the negotiations or the process will move forward the way the UN wants it, or the people who think that we have to limit the climate temperature increase to 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees by turn of the century will happen.
Sure. Palash Mukherjee, the pace of replacing conventional technology with green alternatives, do you believe that it is happening as desired, or it's not happening at all?
Well, it's far from what is desired, because right now the stage at what we are at, the next few years India is going to see very, very rapid growth in terms of its cities. Just over the past decade, we have moved from around 50 million plus cities which are very large populations, to today where we have more than 81 cities which have more than 100,000 population. So in terms of the pollution factor, because I do research on pollution, 2016 has been quite a landmark year, because we started the year out with a lot of different movements in different cities across India, where pollution really became the buzzword for the average citizen sitting at home. Take the case of Delhi, for instance. We had a car restraint measure right at the beginning of the year, and this really has sparked off the addition of pollution, hopefully has sparked off the addition of pollution to the political agenda. We see similar movements in Bangalore, where there is an outcry over a proposed flyover that is being put in place. So I think that the biggest contribution 2016 has towards the pollution agenda is that at least for the urban scenario, pollution has been put right in the middle of the political agenda of a lot of the stakeholders in these cities.
Indeed, indeed. Daveji, as far as, bearing the cost is concerned, clean environment and clean technology comes at a cost. Is India willing to bear that cost at this point in time?
देखिए, देश की नीतियां बनाते समय इस बात की बहुत चिंता नहीं करना चाहिए कि बाकी अन्य देश क्या कर रहे हैं। दूसरों को देख करके हम चलेंगे, वो युग चला गया है। अब हमको अपना रास्ता बनाना है, हमें अपने मंजिलें तय करना है। सोलर अलायंस के माध्यम से हमने इसे किया है। पेरिस के अंदर हमने उसकी घोषणा की। अभी मैं जब मोरक्को में था तो 24 देशों ने साइन किया, उसमें फ्रांस भी है, ब्राज़ील भी है। हमने एक रास्ता बनाया और उस पर हम चले, और जैसे ही 15 देश उसको रेटिफाई करेंगे वो एग्जिस्टेंस में आ जाएगा। वैसे ही क्लीन और ग्रीन एनर्जी के अंदर भारत को रिसर्च करना ही होगा
जी।
ये हर बार कहीं की टेक्नोलॉजी भारत ले आना, इससे ये एक शिफ्ट है जिसको मैं पैराडाइम शिफ्ट कहता हूँ कि ये एक तरफ से बिल्कुल दूसरी तरफ है। ये मेक इन इंडिया है, हमको भारत के अंदर उसको बनाना ही पड़ेगा, हमें वो रास्ते ढूंढना ही पड़ेंगे। भारत की तासीर को समझकर भारत बनाने की कोशिश करना पड़ेगी। यहाँ की मिट्टी कैसी है, रॉ मटेरियल कैसा है, नॉलेज कैसा है, फाइनेंशियल रिसोर्सेज कैसे हैं, करने का स्वभाव कैसा है, टेंडेंसी कैसी है। और मुझे लगता है कि 2016 के अंदर हम उस मार्ग पे चले हैं। पेरिस का एग्रीमेंट और उसके बाद में मराकेश, और अगले साल जब हम COP23 में बॉन में मिलेंगे, बेसिकली उसका चेयर फिजी करेगा। लेकिन हम उसकी रूल बुक बना रहे हैं
जी।
जैसे ही वो रूल बुक बनेगी और प्री 2020 के पहले भारत 2017 में क्या करे, हम क्या करें, दुनिया को करने दो जो उनको करना है। वो नाराज़ हो जाएंगे तो अपना मुंह नहीं ख़राब होना चाहिए, वो प्रसन्न हो जाएंगे तो हमने अपने यहाँ मिठाई नहीं बनाना चाहिए। हमें हमारे देश को, देश की जनता को देख करके, देश के हितों को देख करके काम करना है, और उस दिशा में हम बढ़ रहे हैं। 2016 के हमने ट्रैक डिसाइड किया, 2017 में हम उसे पे आगे बढ़ेंगे। और आगे बढ़ने में INDCs को हम कैसे प्राप्त करेंगे, हम केवल इतना नहीं कि वहाँ हस्ताक्षर कराएं, हम उन हस्ताक्षर किए हुए लक्ष्यों को पाने के लिए क्या करेंगे। और जैसा मैंने पहले कहा कि क्या हम इसे सेमिनारों तक रखेंगे, क्या ये केवल कॉन्फ्रेंस तक रहेगा, या इस देश का जन आंदोलन बनेगा। और अगर ये जन आंदोलन नहीं बनेगा तो ये सेमिनार में चलता रहेगा। इसके ऊपर बहुत अच्छी अच्छी भाषा में बहुत सारी बातें होती रहेगी, लेकिन मैं फिर बार बार पलट करके जाता हूँ तो लोगों को लगता है आप गांधी को ज़्यादा कोट करते हैं। स्वतंत्रता के आंदोलन को चरखा काट के सामान्य करके उस आदमी ने जन आंदोलन का स्वरूप बना दिया कि अंग्रेजों ये देश छोड़ के चले जाओ। क्लाइमेट चेंज की इस दुनिया को और ग्लोबल वार्मिंग की दुनिया को अगर हमने जन आंदोलन नहीं बनाया, आंध्र प्रदेश और उड़ीसा और कर्नाटक और असम और पंजाब के सामान्य व्यक्ति किसान को नहीं बताया कि ये करना है भाई, ये हम सबका काम है, तब तक इसके अंदर सफलता नहीं मिलेगी। 2017 में हम इस दिशा में आगे बढ़ेंगे। बहुत चिंता नहीं करते कि कितना होगा और कितना नहीं होगा, करने की कोशिश करेंगे। करते करते मेरा पूरा भरोसा है कि भारत का आम समाज प्रकृति से पर्यावरणवादी है, प्रकृति से वो एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट है, प्रकृति से वो क्लाइमेट चेंज के अंदर सबसे कम कंट्रीब्यूट करता है। जब आप उसे समझाएंगे, जब आप उसे बताएंगे तो इस काम को और अच्छे से करने लगेगा जी। और हम जब इसे करने लगेंगे तो हम डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज़ को भी लीड करने की स्थिति में आ जाएंगे और डेवलप्ड कंट्री को भी कहने की स्थिति में आ जाएंगे कि ये जो क्लाइमेट चेंज की दुनिया को आपने बाज़ार बना दिया है, लाभ कमाने का धंधा बना दिया है, हर बात का अंत वही है। अंत कहाँ है? नेट प्रॉफिट कितना मिल रहा है। इससे अगर मुक्त नहीं हुए तो तूफान आते रहेंगे, देश और गांव उजड़ते रहेंगे, अब उसका अलग अलग हम नाम देते रहेंगे। और अभी तो ये झांकी है जी, आने वाले समय में वो जो तूफान आने वाला है इस क्लाइमेट चेंज के कारण, उसकी कल्पना शायद मनुष्य।
One of the concerns raised by environmentalists about this government is more interested in development and less interested in the environment. Would you agree with that assessment? What would you have to say to them?
कॉफ़ी हाउस के अंदर बैठ करके सिगरेट पीते हुए बात करने वालों पर मैं कभी जवाब नहीं देता।
जी
उनका यही काम है, वैसे ही करते रहते हैं। हम पूरे विश्वास के साथ कह सकते हैं कि एनवायरनमेंट और डेवलपमेंट ये एक साथ चलते हैं। इसको मैं अगर संस्कृत निष्ठ भाषा में कहूँ तो सुविकास, अगर कोई व्यक्ति एक्सरसाइज कर रहा है और उसकी पूरी फिजिकल फिटनेस अच्छी हो रही है तो ये डेवलपमेंट है। उसके किसी हिस्से में कोई हिस्सा बड़ा हो गया है, ये ट्यूमर हो रहा है भाई साहब आपको, ये डेवलपमेंट नहीं है। हमने ट्यूमर खड़े कर दिए सोसाइटी के अंदर। होना ये चाहिए था कि जितना डेवलपमेंट किसी एक एक्स नाम के उद्योगपति का हो रहा है, जितने वाई नाम के किसी ब्यूरोक्रेट या पॉलिटिशियन का हो रहा है, उतना ही विकास 2 एकड़ के किसान, सीमांत किसान का भी होना था। प्रोपोर्शन में होता, कोई आपत्ति नहीं थी। लेकिन इतना बड़ा अंतर क्यों है? ये अंतर इसलिए है कि हमने विकास की अवधारणाओं को गलत किया और एनवायरनमेंट का चोला पहन लिया। आप जानते हैं 20 नवंबर 2016 तक 310 दिन बीते थे। उन 310 दिन में दिल्ली के अंदर जो श्रेणियां हैं उसमें गुड से लगाकर सीवियर तक में 60% दिन वेरी बैड और सीवियर हैं और एक भी दिन गुड नहीं है।
जी
यानी एक दिन ऐसा बीता हो कि 4 फरवरी आई थी या 2 मई आया था, वो दिन जो था वो गुड की श्रेणी में था, वो नहीं है। जब ये स्थिति है, घर के अंदर ये स्थिति है, तो फिर हमको ग्लोबल लेवल पर बात करने का क्या है भाई? इसलिए मैं कहता हूँ कि पहले प्रैक्टिसिंग बन जाए, पहले हम हो जाए। मैं बदल जाऊँगा, युग बदल जाएगा। मेरे बदलने से ही दुनिया बदल रही है। और उसका मैं आपको एक छोटा सा उदाहरण देता हूँ। 5 दिनों में मैं उस कष्ट की अनुभूति नहीं कर सकता जो उन दिनों में बीते। मैंने सोचा मैं क्या करूँ, तो एक मिनिस्टर होने के कारण उसके साथ हमेशा एक स्टैंड बाय कार चलती है। मैंने पूछा पीछे कार क्यों चलती है? उन्होंने कहा साहब आगे वाली जिसमें आप बैठे ख़राब हो जाएगी तो ये उसके लिए चलती है। मैंने कहा ख़राब हो जाएगी तो SMS करेंगे, फ़ोन करेंगे तो 5 मिनट में दूसरी कार आ जाएगी। इसको पीछे चला करके तुम पेट्रोल क्यों जला रहे हो? मैंने कहा खड़ी कर दो इसको। आदमी कर सकता है। मैं इतना कर सकता था एक व्यक्ति के रूप में कि मैं 1 सेकंड चलने वाली गाड़ी को रोक दिया।
जी
मुझे लगता है कि हर व्यक्ति को सोचना पड़ेगा कि मैं इस क्लाइमेट चेंज की दुनिया में ग्लोबल वार्मिंग के अंदर क्या कंट्रीब्यूट करूं कि इसका तापमान घट जाए, इसके बजाय कि मैं आरोप प्रत्यारोप लगाऊं और लोगों को चलने का रास्ता बताऊं। और ये नॉन प्रैक्टिसिंग लोगों के कारण सबसे बड़ी खराबी है।
जी चेतन, tiny drops make an ocean. That's what the environment minister is suggesting, that the change should come from one and all, and change should come from within. Only then can a real change be made.
No, I agree with him that change comes from if every person participates, contributes. I totally agree, but then the policies from the government, different bodies have to be conducive. Like in Delhi, if you want to walk, can you walk? Most of the places you can't walk because the pedestrian pathways are occupied by vendors, there may be motorbikes on that. So these are not clean pathways. So it is very difficult. And everybody would, because being environmentalist or being pro-environment is also saving for a person. For in case, if person use a public transport system, he'll shun his car, it will be saving on the person. But then you have to have a public transport system which is affordable, which is close to your home. It should not result that you have to wait for 20 minutes for a bus or 20 minutes for an public transport system, and the public transport system is such shabby that you cannot use it. Public transport system has to be safe also, because a large number of women also use their personal cars. If they have to shun their personal vehicles, they should have a safe and affordable public transport system. I'm sorry to say, most of the states, most of the cities, there is no safe or affordable last mile public transport system. For in case in Delhi, you get out of a metro, in most of the places you don't have a public transport system or a bus or system to take you to your home. You may have to take an auto, you have to take a rickshaw or something else, which is equally harassing also sometimes. So until the state governments, it's not the job of environment minister, it is the collective effort of all the ministers of the state government, the municipal bodies, to have a conducive environment, pro-environment system mechanism in the states, in the cities, that brings in a public transport system which is affordable, which is alternate to a personal vehicle. If you see in Delhi, in the last 5 years, the congestion has increased so much that the traveling time on Delhi roads has almost doubled. So if in case if you are coming from Basant Kunj, it used to take half an hour, now it takes average 1 hour. So you see the contribution to air pollution, it's 2 times the contribution to air pollution. It can be reduced, but for that you need an affordable public transport system, for which there has been a lot of talk in the last 15 years. I have seen this since CNG was introduced in Delhi, and there was that we will have a world-class public transport system. From every metro there will be a bus that will take to your home. You can know at what time the bus will come, but it has all of this has been on the paper, in the conferences, in the workshop. On the practical levels, it has not happened. So if you really want to fight climate change, air pollution, I agree with the minister, but then the governments have to make it affordable, have to make it a reality.
You know, talking about public systems, cities like Paris also, you know, the public system is fantastic, Mr. Shankar, in Paris. But even Paris saw pollution levels, you know, that they haven't seen over the last 10 years. Pollution levels were extremely high earlier in December. So do you believe that something...
If you see Paris pollution level, Delhi average today is about 2 to 50. It is sorry to say that the new low, the new standard in Delhi has become 200 now. Whereas the Indian standard is 40 to 60, WHO is 10 to 20. Here we are still 6 times or 5 times higher than the national ambient level, WHO level, and still we are not, there is no word. Now the 200 is the new limit, which is the saddest point. Nobody is talking about air pollution in Delhi now.
Yes. Yes, no one's speaking about air pollution in Delhi at the moment. But then, you know, every time something like this happens, you know, air pollution goes up. The first thing that the administration thinks of is, you know, the vehicle rationing scheme. The same thing happened in Paris as well, and it was a complete failure. Don't administrators, you know, think, can't they come up with something else? Isn't it time to think out of the box now?
I think I would start with what our minister said, that we have to think on our own. And if we think on our own, then we will end up doing the right things. You had raised a question about development and environment going together. I think our INDCs are far better than they were expected, and that is for the environment. Similarly, if you look at our renewable energy targets, they are exceedingly ambitious, far more than were expected. And we have now taken the sensible decision for air pollution to leapfrog from Euro 4 to Euro 6 at one stroke. Now, this decision should have been taken many years back. And if we can achieve it before 2020, it would be good. And one point which I think was correctly highlighted, that climate change and global warming is a challenge over the next 10, 20, 30 years. Air pollution in India is hurting us today. The lung capacity of 50% of our children is being adversely affected because the new normal in Delhi. Should we accept this? Should we not be angry and on the streets? And ordinary people are getting there, and we have to think radically. So if you want to think radically, can we rush with BRTs? It's doable. Mrs. Dixit tried it, it was given up. Can we say that all new public transport vehicles in the cities would be electric vehicles? Electric vehicles are good enough for our cities, so all new taxis, buses will be only electric. Because if you do something as radical as that, you may have an impact in the next 2-3 years.
But is it viable in a country like India?
Electric vehicles are absolutely viable. They have been used all over the world. The only reason they are not so popular in the rest of the world is that you need acceleration and driving distances which the ordinary consumer wants on the highways. For a city and city taxi, city three-wheelers, electric vehicles are absolutely viable. And here I agree with him that you need the government to take the leadership and say that every new replacement in a cab or a three-wheeler will be only electric. Create the public recharging stations, provide the revenue subsidy if necessary to make it viable. And the average citizen would pay a higher fare for a taxi or a cab if it is electric and the environment is better. Better that than having an environment cess.
Indeed.
So I think we have to think radically and think big. As he said, pedestrian paths, we don't have it. Cycle paths, we don't have it. If we think seriously, we can make all of it happen within 12 to 18 months.
You know, Palash, talking about environment cess and talking about, you know, taxes as far as environment is concerned, is it high time now that the government introduces something like that, because the situation is alarming in India's cities today as far as air pollution is concerned?
I'd like to disagree with you here on the taxes bit, because it is not a problem of funding as far as pollution is concerned. It is a problem of prioritization. For instance, in Delhi, we are spending large amounts of money to improve places that don't really require improvements. I'm going to take the example of the government flagship scheme of the Smart Cities project. In Delhi, the smart city, the part of the city that has been selected as a smart city is the NDMC area, which is the Lutyens Delhi that we all are sitting in right now. This is the part of Delhi that already has very wide tree-lined avenues, it has pavements, it has sufficient walking space for pedestrians. Whereas on the other side, if you look at a low-income neighborhood like Sangam Vihar, where coincidentally most of your cyclists actually live. There are no exclusive cycling paths. There are no pedestrian facilities. There isn't enough access to public transport. So here, I think the problem is prioritization. A lot of our priorities are very differently oriented than they need to be. For instance, let me take up the case of electric mobility, like my co-panelist was talking about. So India has a very good electric program, which is called the National Electric Mobility Mission Program. And it is focusing a lot on incentivizing the growth of electric vehicles. But where is it oriented towards? The maximum bulk of the incentive goes towards providing subsidies to cars, like to your four-door saloons and to your executive class cars. Whereas the focus should be on your public transportation and on two-wheelers, as it was very rightly pointed out.
Indeed.
As well as infrastructure. There isn't enough infrastructure for me to, as an individual, to buy a vehicle, to be assured that I can charge my vehicle at any of the multiple points across the city.
I've got 1 minute left on the program. I'd like to get final comments from all my guests, starting with you, Daveji, your final closing comments on the program.
मेरा इतना ही कहना है कि समस्या विकराल है, लेकिन हम बैठें, विचार करें, मैं क्या करूं, हम क्या करें, समाज क्या करे और सरकार क्या करे। इसको कांच की तरह बिल्कुल क्रिस्टल क्लियर साफ करें और फिर उस रास्ते पर दृढ़ता से चलें।
जी,
फिर घबराने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। थोड़ी बहुत लोग इधर उधर कुछ बातें करेंगे तो करने दो, लेकिन आप चलते चलो। शुरू करने से पहले पूरा विचार कर लो, उसके बाद में जब तक गंतव्य ना आ जाए रुको मत, करते ही चले जाओ। और मैं फिर कह रहा हूँ, क्लाइमेट चेंज और ग्लोबल वार्मिंग के अंदर अगर किसी को रोल मॉडल बनना है तो वो भारत को ही बनना है। क्योंकि हमारे ही पास टाइम टेस्टेड सिविलाइजेशन है जो 10,000 साल बाद भी उसी खेत में खेती कर रही है जिसके ऊपर 500 साल खेती करने के बाद विकसित देशों ने एबेंडेंट लिख दिया। ऐसा कई क्षेत्रों में है। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि सब क्षेत्र अच्छे हैं, लेकिन जो सही हैं और जो स्वीकारने योग्य हैं उनको स्वीकारें, जो गलत है उसे छोड़ दीजिए, उनको हमने ढोना नहीं चाहिए।
Fair enough. And Mr. Shankar, I have very less time, so final quick closing comments from you.
More ambition and willingness to leapfrog and do new things in a grand way.
Chetan, your final closing comments?
My thing is that I think everybody should sit together and we should have a short-term, mid-term and long-term plan which is executed well and which will, I think all the citizens, everybody will help the government and agencies if we have that sort of a plan, not only for Delhi but for all the cities in the
Indeed. And Polash, close the show for us with your final closing comments.
Addition of pollution to the political agenda, and like the good minister said, personal involvement of everyone at their individual levels and at the organization level. If my organization takes a step, even if I don't want to, I have to. So there you go.
Okay, all right. On that note, we'll have to call it a wrap on this special edition of The Big Picture. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much for watching.